So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about decontamination. So hopefully the bad weather should be coming to a close and we should be getting some nicer sort of spring and summer weather. And it's time where you might want to deep clean your car. So I'm going to be talking about the different products and processes that I use in order to decontaminate the paintwork and get it looking good again. So I'm going to kick things off by talking about decontamination shampoos and explaining what they are and why you might want to use them. So firstly, there are two main types of decontamination shampoo. So you've got your alkaline ones and your acidic ones, and there are different situations where you might need one or both of these. So starting off with the alkaline ones, which are the ones that came kind of first really. These are generally best at targeting kind of organic contamination. So by that I mean contaminated paintwork that might have resulted from heavy traffic film build-up, dirt and mud getting kicked up off the roads. Now, alkaline shampoos are really good at tackling this, and my favourite is the Garage Therapy Decon Shampoo. It's actually the first one I ever used. I've used a few since, and this has remained my favourite. So if you are planning on doing a deep clean and using some of the other chemicals and processes that I'm going to be talking about later in the video, then this is a really good shampoo to start with. It basically gives a deeper clean than a regular pH neutral shampoo would, so it's a good one to kick off the process. Now, the next type of shampoo in this category is the acidic kind of shampoo. So these came a little bit later and have become quite a big thing over the past few years, but basically acidic shampoos are really good at tackling mineral deposit build-up, so from things like water spots and also salt contamination. So particularly coming out of winter, a lot of road salt might have accumulated on the car and contaminated that, and it's not getting removed as well with routine washes. Then an acidic shampoo can be really good to help tackle that. So these kinds of shampoos are really useful, in particular if you do have a ceramic coated car, as they can be quite prone to this kind of contamination. So acidic shampoos are basically going to help to unclog that coating. So if you notice the water behaviour is kind of flat, using one of these products can definitely help. So there are quite a few good acidic shampoos on the market. Garage Therapy DMS is a good one, Car Pro, D-Scale is another good one, but my favourite is Yum Reset. I find this one to be nice and slick, as the others are too, but I find it to be a touch better at removing that contamination and help to kind of unclog that coating. So the next question you might be asking is, do you need both the acidic and the alkaline shampoo, particularly if you're starting building up your kit? You might not want to buy both of these at the same time. Now ideally, I do think a lot of cars do benefit from using both. However, if you do want to buy just one, my personal recommendation would be, if you have an uncoated car where you're just applying wax and sealants, go for the Decon shampoo. It can help to strip those protective layers so you can apply a fresh one. Whereas if you have a ceramic coated car, I find the acidic shampoos to be a bit more useful. Now, if you are planning on using both shampoos on your car, you might be wondering which order to do so. I typically start with the alkaline shampoo in order to tackle that traffic film, and then I go on to the acidic one to help deal with the mineral deposit and salt build-up. So next up, I'm going to talk about a few other chemicals that you might use to decontaminate your car. So I'm going to start off with two of the most popular ones, and those are towel removers and iron removers. So towel removal is pretty self-explanatory. You may or may not have towel spots on your car. Really depends on the kind of roads you're driving on, to be honest. But basically, you may notice little black dots, usually behind the wheels on the car, and it's basically a towel getting flicked up onto the vehicle and embedding itself in the paintwork. Now, for this, you can use dedicated towel removal sprays, and there are a few different options out there. Now, basically, it involves just spraying it on the towel spot, usually leaving it for 1 to 2 minutes, although it can depend on the specific product, and then wiping very gently with a microfiber towel just to remove that spot, and it should melt away and remove very easily. Now, I personally like to dry off the car after that contact wash before proceeding with the towel removal spray, as they're most usually kind of solvent based, so they don't tend to react that well with the water and it can kind of separate and they're not as effective. So drying off that panel particularly can help with that. Now, also when you are trying to remove that towel spot, avoid kind of really scrubbing at that surface. If it doesn't wipe off very easily with the microfiber towel, then repeat that process, spray it on again, leave it a couple of minutes and go back and try it. Some really heavy towel spots might take a few hits with this, but it's best to do that and be patient than really kind of scrub at that paintwork, as you could cause some marring. Now, in terms of which towel remover to use, I have two personal favourites. So I have the Garage Therapy towel remover, which is the strongest I've tried. This usually only needs around 30 seconds to react, so I can get around the car nice and quickly. The disadvantage of this one is it will stain black plastic trim. So if, for example, you have an SUV or a Mini where it's got loads of black plastic all around the wheel arches and the lower sections, if you go and spray your towel remover on and let it drip onto those sections, it will leave some marks and streaking, and obviously you really don't want that. So I would recommend having a damp microfiber towel on hand, separate one to one you're using for the towel removal step, to basically wipe off those areas if you do notice any overspray. However, if you do have a lot of black plastic trim, then my favourite alternative would be to use Yum Tar and Glue Remover, as that one is safer on black plastic trim and you shouldn't get those streaking issues. Again, I always wipe it off, any overspray, but you just got a little bit more time there. So next up, I'm going to talk about iron fallout removal sprays. So little iron particles can get embedded in your paintwork. These are particularly kind of visible on white paints, as they look like little kind of orange rust spots, but obviously they can build up regardless of the colour. Now, there are a few different sources of this iron contamination. Cars with big brakes are particularly prone to it, as you'll often see the build-up just behind the wheels. Also, cars that are generally doing higher mileage tend to get more build-up, as a lot of it can be found in the traffic film that's getting flicked up onto the car from other people's kind of brake dust. Also, if you're storing your car near a train station or anything like that, then obviously that can cause it too. So what you need to get rid of this is an iron fallout removal spray. Again, I like to apply these to dry paintwork, as I find it avoids kind of diluting the chemical and it can be a bit more effective. But again, with the tar remover and the iron remover, just make sure the products don't dry out on that surface and don't leave them to dwell for longer than the manufacturer would recommend. Now, a few different options again that you can use. I really like Built Hamber Corosol. I've also tried the Garage Therapy Iron Oxide, which is another good one too. Some people like to spray their iron removers on, leave it for a few minutes to see that reaction. So at that point, you're basically going to see little kind of purple red dots all over the car, and that indicates that the product is basically dissolving that iron particle, so it can be more easily rinsed away. Now, you can go over the car with a mitt to help agitate that and keep the chemical working. I don't generally tend to do it, I just like to pressure wash it off when I've left it to dwell for long enough. However, if you are going to do that, I would make sure you're using a decent amount of lubrication or an iron fallout remover that is designed to be used in that way. So the Garage Therapy Iron Oxide basically has some elements of their Decon shampoo built in to allow it to be kind of more safely agitated. If not, pop a bit of shampoo on your mitt if you do want to go down that route. Now, the next chemical spray to talk about is a water spot remover. Now, you may or may not need this depending on your car, where you're parking it, and whether water spots are really accumulating on it. It can be again useful on ceramic coated cars. If you used an acidic shampoo and you still think there's some contamination there, you can spray your water spot remover on, go back over it with that acidic shampoo after it's dwelled for a couple of minutes, and it should help to revive that coating. It's not a chemical that you're always going to need, but it is well worth talking about when we're doing this kind of decon guide. Also, when using any of these chemicals to decontaminate your car, I would always give the car a quick wash afterwards or a snow foam to remove any residue that might be left behind by those chemicals. Now, everything I've talked about so far would fall under the bracket of chemical decontamination. So obviously we're using chemicals, different shampoos or sprays to be able to remove that contamination without using abrasion. Now, what I'm going to move on to next is physical decontamination. So this involves using basically clay, so in the form of a clay bar or a clay mitt, but basically something that's going to help remove that embedded contamination where a chemical might not be able to do it. So as I said, there are a few different types of clay. So you've got your clay bars, which basically little blocks that you can cut into sections, mould and shape and use to clay the car, or you can use synthetic clay media, so things like mitts, blocks. This one I've got here from the Rag Company is a clay block, but you can also find them in gloves, pads, loads of different shapes and sizes to suit your kind of preference. Now, in terms of what I prefer out of the two, I personally do like a clay bar, as I find that it's just a bit better at pulling out the contamination compared to the synthetic clay. If you're dealing with a very contaminated car, you may notice that a synthetic clay just kind of glides and skates over it, doesn't really pull it up, whereas a clay bar is usually more effective. One of the advantages of clay mitts and clay towels though, is that they do usually have a much larger surface area, so you can get around the car a bit quicker. It is personal preference which you want to use, and I do have a video on the second channel comparing the two in a bit more detail. Now, the next thing you're going to want to choose is what lubricant you want to use for the clay bar. Now, there are dedicated clay lubricants out there, but they are very, very expensive, and there are cheaper alternatives that you can use. So a shampoo at a 1:9 dilution in a spray bottle works really well. And also rinseless washes, usually I use them at around a 1:64 dilution, and they again are a great option. A good lubricant is really important as it reduces the amount of marring you're going to get on the finish. Now, the process of claying is very straightforward. Basically, you're going to spray a bit of your lubricant on the panel, a bit on your clay as well, and basically just use straight line motions to glide the clay across that surface. You don't need to put any pressure down, and I would definitely avoid doing so. Just let that clay do the work and let it glide and remove that contamination. Now, particularly with clay bars, they offer a lot of feedback, and you can really be able to feel that surface become smooth, and that's going to indicate that you've removed that contamination. In vast majority of cases, unless you've got a super contaminated car, you won't need to go over the area more than once, and it usually takes me around 20 to 30 minutes to clay most cars. Now, whether you're using synthetic clay like a mitt or a towel or a clay bar, the start of the process can be a little bit different. So with a clay bar, you're basically going to cut a bit of the original kind of clay bar off, so usually around a quarter or a third works well. And then basically run it under warm water, as this definitely helps, and you can kind of mould it and flatten it into a disc shape. With synthetic clay like mitts and towels, it's best to use those on the glass first, as that helps to break in that clay, soften it a little bit so it causes less marring on your paintwork. As you go between panels, I would always make sure to check your clay, and you may notice some discoloration or be able to kind of see contamination getting picked up. If you have a clay bar, what you're going to do is fold the surface and basically flatten it again. It's really important to keep doing that to keep your clay bar nice and fresh, as again, that will reduce the effect of marring. With synthetic clay, you can basically just rinse it out in a bucket between each panel, and that'll help to kind of remove that contamination. Now, as I said at the start, clay is considered a physical decontamination process, which means it's basically abrasive. It's kind of shaving and pulling out those contaminants from your surface. So this does have some potential to cause very light marring in the paintwork. Now, using a good lubricant and a softer variety of clay can definitely help to reduce this, but particularly on softer paintworks, it can be kind of unavoidable. This is why personally I don't like claying without being prepared to polish the paintwork afterwards. So that is my preference. Now, if for example you don't have perfect paintwork and you're not interested in polishing, you just want to do the claying, then that's fine. You probably aren't going to really notice the additional marring if the paintwork already has swirls and scratches in it. If, however, you do want pristine paint, then you do have to be prepared to polish afterwards in the vast majority of cases. Usually a hand polish can take care of this, so you don't need to go out and buy a machine if you don't have one, but it is just something to keep in mind. I also don't like using clay, and that's the same with bars and synthetic clay on ceramic coatings for the exact same reason, as I don't want to use abrasion on it, which can wear the coating down, and I don't want to have to polish it afterwards and reapply that coating. So that's why I stick to the chemical decon methods that I mentioned previously if I don't want to be polishing the car. Now, I also did want to touch on decontaminating the glass as well. Now, in the vast majority of cases, you're going to do the same kind of process. Using a Decon shampoo can help to unclog any protection that you've got on there, or just deep clean the glass if you don't have protection on it. You can also clay the surface to keep it nice and smooth, but I generally don't use tile removers on glass, as typically don't get tile spots on it, and I don't generally tend to use iron removers, as the other products work well, and I don't usually notice that to be a problem contaminating the glass. What can be really useful though is water spot remover, as that can help to deal with some kind of streaks and stains that you might be getting on the glass. But if you are noticing this kind of effect, particularly when you're wiping the glass with a microfiber towel when it is damp, the best thing you can do is polish the glass up. So one of my favourites is Built Hamber Review, which is a really good glass polish. You can just work it in with a microfiber towel, buff it off, and then it will leave a nice clean surface where you don't get that kind of streaking effect. Now, as always, I will be linking all the products that I've used in this video in the description. And I'm also going to pop a link to a couple of other videos that I've made in the past that go into a bit more detail on things like tile removal and claying. So hopefully those will be helpful too if you are just starting out. Now, if you have found this video helpful, then it'd be brilliant if you did drop it a like, and thanks very much for watching.